Hey everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we take a look at Dusk Diver for the Nintendo Switch and we're going to ask the big question: does this hack and slash RPG deserve a place in your collection? Thanks to PQube for the review copy today, and with that, hit that subscribe and like button and let's jump in. So Dusk Diver tells the story of Yuma, a high school girl who accidentally gets involved with hidden gods within the human world. Set within Taiwan, you must work with new allies to defend the people from the phantoms, enemies working to infiltrate and destroy the realm of man. So yes, the story is incredibly strange, but for a story that sounds so simple, it can be somewhat confusing at times. Fortunately, during the story though, you're going to meet a great cast of characters that really do add a lot of charm to the game. Now with these characters though, I will say I wish we had seen more development in their individual storylines. I actually found these more interesting often than the story that was moving forward, but instead they're reduced to the occasional joke and a couple of lines of dialogue. Additionally, I will say as well on the story front, this game is not dubbed, meaning expect text. Now I'm all for it, but on a few occasions the story or the clues were showing on the screen midway through battle, and it was impossible for me to stop and read without taking a hit, so I think they need to think a bit more about that placement moving forward. Additionally, while it doesn't impact the story, there is a few issues with the English translation and also the spelling. It's nothing major, it in no way impacts the game, it doesn't confuse you or anything else, but PQube did let me know that this will be fixed in a day one patch. So when it comes to story, I think it's fair to say that the city of Shaman, I found it on a YouTube tour guide video, but either way, they've gone to an incredible level to build this real city in-game, and they've included real-life local merchants taking their place on the streets. Now like Yakuza and Persona, games that clearly had a big influence on this one, this world is a place you will want to explore and rightly becomes a character of Dusk Diver. For story, overall I've got to say Dusk Diver, it was somewhat underwhelming. It never quite felt like it got going, and it's a tale we've honestly heard 1,000 times before. Fortunately though, strong, interesting and quirky characters with very little backstory still kept me coming back. This story, it actually feels like a prologue to much more. So gameplay on Dusk Diver is a hack and slash with RPG elements. Navigate between two worlds, it's fairly simple. The Streets of Shaman accounts for the RPG part of the title, talk with members of your team, go to work to drive the story forward, complete a small amount of side missions, level up your character, purchase items and find fissures. These are the wormholes that lead to the alternate world. Then, during these portions, you can also hunt out collectibles in the form of Dragonfane stone shards. These are needed to access each mission, and as you progress, more and more of these will be required as, let's say, a key into each stage. Unfortunately, on this side of things, I feel like they did miss a beat here by not adding more things to do in this city. Outside of the core missions, the side missions are near identical in gameplay, and there is very few of them honestly, and I would have loved more opportunity just to take the city in. Think Yakuza or GTA like mini games, even just sit in a coffee shop and listen to conversations. All this world building, it's just kind of been missed out on. Now when it comes to the alternate reality, this is where the true gameplay for Dusk Diver begins. True to its advertising, this perfectly fits the hack and slash genre. Light and heavy attacks building to make combos, a dash move to dodge, jump mechanics, and a guardian you can call into battle once you build up SP. Here additionally we have a few basic RPG elements as well. Health, that's in most games, but SP to use your guardian's movesets, and then you have a final finish attack called D-Arms, which once released gives out some serious beatings for your enemies and a beautiful visual flourish. Dusk Divers, its concept's simple, and you can tell from the controls: move from area to area, battle waves of enemies, and progress. Unfortunately, with the gameplay though, while the idea is tried and tested and the core controls, like I said, are okay, it does quickly get repetitive. Very little changes outside of the inclusion of our guardians, and yes, they make some difference in battle, but expect something similar to, Dynasty Warriors combat here. They've tried to add in elements of strategy with these guardians because they have slightly different attacks, but often I just found myself mashing the buttons on the Pro Controller and that seemed to work out. I think the reason for this, honestly, is mainly, it's down to quite honestly some poor AI. Like again, Dynasty Warriors, they just kind of charge towards you. Frequently I'd find them getting stuck on corners, just standing still, maybe going the wrong direction, and so on. Dusk Divers is going for quantity of enemies here, not quality, but that was also clearly the aim of the developers. Outside of this, not surprisingly, the only other real concern I have was a camera, which can be a pain in the ass at times, but that's kind of a trait of the genre. You're typically locked in very small areas, battling against a huge amount of enemies. So yes, it does get stuck on the occasional enemy, gets stuck behind an enemy, or maybe on an invisible wall, but overall it was nothing you won't be used to and nothing you can't handle. Overall gameplay delivered what I expected, with a slightly shallow take on the combat I wanted, and a world that needs honestly a little bit more life. It's not to say I had a bad time, just don't expect Devil May Cry complexities here in the combat, or Yakuza levels of world building. Now granted, I am comparing this here to two AAA titles, but I can see that there is something special that just doesn't quite come through, and it just fell just a slight bit short on execution. But the idea, it's honestly a fantastic one. I do want to add with the gameplay as well that you will see some frame rate drops. These, I've been told, are being fixed in a day one patch and shouldn't be a concern for anyone, but I would check it out probably closer to release. Okay, so on to graphics, and honestly, I was impressed. I love the character models. I think they fit the setting perfectly while also still being unique. The world is impressive. It is basic, but it feels like a design decision, not a shortcoming of the game, and I particularly liked all of the colour. Here you'll see the locals of the city are actually blocks of colour rather than being built-in human characters. Now if you move closer, they will actually develop into more of like a hand-drawn water painting vibe to them. But I thought it was a really interesting style that actually really works. It adds colour, it reflects that you're operating almost on a different level to everyone around you. And it also makes the navigation simple and quick when identifying who you need to interact with. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for the alternate reality though. The first word that comes to mind is, well, bland. Gone is this stylistically beautiful world replaced with black and grey, a bit of blue, a few outlines and a few bits of colour to block your path. Towards the end game, it does get somewhat more interesting. In particular, we have one level with rain effects, and that just, I don't know what it is about that effect, but it just transforms it from something bland to something that's actually stunning. That being said, all of the other levels, for the majority, with no real distinction between chapters. It just feels like you're going through the same areas over and over again. With that being said though, more can be said for the inhabitants of this world. The enemies, they look interesting. They have some real nice designs in here, each with unique skill sets, and Yumo and her crew of misfit gods have a beautiful animation set to show off the attacks. Overall, and somewhat the theme for this review so far, we have a lot of good here that's let down in a few key areas. Finally, let's talk sound and music, and here the majority is good. Attacks sound heavy. While I don't understand the dialogue, the voice acting sounds great. There's clearly some talent behind the actors they've used, as you can hear the emotion, the intended reaction as you read along in the voices, and the music is solid. Nothing memorable, but each level has a nice little soundtrack that never gets in the way. I actually left it playing on my TV, walked away, and it hits all the right notes for an RPG score. It never got annoying, especially in its battle motifs actually. Actually, do you know what? Thinking about it, I really like the music here. I've got to say, it's definitely a standout area. You won't be disappointed. Overall, Dusk Diver has a lot of great ideas. A city that's not often seen, purposely created street by street. A cast of characters who are eccentric but suit the crazy story perfectly. A combination of RPG elements before dropping you into hack and slash worlds. For an indie-sized studio, this is ambitious, but unfortunately they have fallen short somewhat on execution. During my 7 hours of gameplay, the world did feel empty, though visually beautiful. The characters were funny and interesting, but no backstory was developed. The hack and slash gameplay, it's great, it's definitely functional, but it takes place in a bland environment. You get the idea here. The core concept is sound, it's just kind of missing something in most areas as well. This honestly feels like a prologue to a potentially excellent sequel. Today, I'm going to be giving Dusk Diver a 6 out of 10. Now it's for sure above average, there's no doubt about it, and if you're a fan of the RPG light action genre, then I'd say go out and pick this one up. It is at a budget price, $39.99 digital or $49.99 physical. For me, I'm going to be buying a physical copy of this one. I want to support a small studio, and there's enough in here that I like that I'm going to revisit its streets. Just don't go in with the expectations too high. It does a lot of things you've seen done better elsewhere, but they've made a nice combination of these elements to at least make this one, I'd say, worth a shot. So what do you think? Will you be picking this one up? What do you think of the gameplay you're seeing here today? Let me know in the comments below, hit subscribe, hit like. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all on the next Gaming X.